So we're gonna be doing a different type of sailing today. Sailing in the sky, we're gonna be flying sailplanes or gliders. I'm here at the Seminole Lake Glider Port in Central Florida. I've been working on my glider license for the last 3 weeks here. So we're gonna take you on a day for flying gliders. It's super fun. I'm really excited to show y'all. Here's the runway we'll be taking off of. It's just a big grass field. One of the nice things about gliders is you can take the wings off and they fit in these long trailers here. That's pretty useful because if you land in a field, you might need to take the wings apart and put it in a trailer so you can bring it back to the airport. Here we got our hangar of Pawnee tow planes and the gliders kind of stuffed into corners. Here's the glider we're gonna fly. It's a Blahnik L23. We'll do a quick pre-flight inspection with my instructor here. So now we're walking the glider to the launching spot, and they tow them with these little golf carts. I'll hop in the cockpit here. Getting towed by the golf cart. Tow plane's right behind us over there. So Jan's telling me to get into position. Release the cart. Here comes our plane. Our tow plane is going to be this Piper Pawnee. It's an old crop dusting plane. Get my straps nice and tight in case we go upside down.
He bugged out to the south, like stayed there for a little while longer.
So the tow plane comes around here, and then we hook it up with a rope. I'll wag my tail to tell the plane that I'm ready to go. And the glider takes off really quick because the wings are so big, so we just gotta wait for the tow plane to take off and we can follow them right up there.
Okay, let it go here. Okay, turn right. Right away. To the right. Do you see any traffic? I see no traffic. Okay. Horse partner, turn in. Keep her back. Perfect. Perfect, 300, perfect, perfect, a little bit less corner, perfect, 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 level it, keep pulling, go to the wheel plate, you have an accuracy landing, close the spoiler, open the canopy, on your own, okay, 3,000.
After the quick run with my instructor in the back seat, now I get to try to fly the glider all by myself. Altimeter set, belts fastened, ballast check, stick. Set, tow line is taut. Gonna be coming down. Wind existent. Check, emergency. I give the guy at the wings a thumbs up and he levels the glider, and then I wag the tail rudder to tell the tow plane we're ready to go. Alright, solo takeoff. The glider feels way different with no one in the back seat. It just takes off within a few feet. It's so light. Now my job is just to keep the glider lined up behind the tow plane while he tows us up to 3,000 feet. Once I get a little higher, I move the glider down below the propeller wash or the wake of the tow airplane. It's a maneuver they make you do in your final Checkride exam, so I'm practicing it now. Then I move the glider over to the side and down and around, kind of forming a box around the tow plane's wake. This was so hard the first time I did it, but now it's not too difficult. And then I pull the lever to release from the tow plane. The rope falls away, and we are flying on our own now. I really like this part. It reminds me of when I turn the motor off on my sailboat. And it gets all quiet and there's only the noise of the wind and no motor. And I'm just going to use this green knob here, and you trim it. You just make sure you can go hands off the stick, and look, the glider can fly itself. So we're at the right trim. So much fun. Now bring the nose up to slow the glider down and practice the stall. It gets real quiet and the controls start to feel kind of mushy, and then eventually the nose kind of drops. But I just point the stick forward a bit to build some speed up, and then it starts flying again. So this is our airspeed indicator, just how fast we're going. You see I have a maximum speed of 124 knots. This is our variometer. It tells us the vertical airspeed. So it looks like we're going up a little bit. So I'm going to slow down on that and see if it's a little bit of a lift. Oh, I feel a little bit of lift. Let's see if it goes up. Okay, so maybe this is a really light day right now, so I'm actually going to circle on this right now, see if it turns into anything. Kind of keeping my eyes out of the canopy, looking for birds. Those will hint at where thermals could be. You can fly for quite a while. We towed up to 3,000 feet. Maybe we get 15 minutes of flight time with no lift at all. A little bit later in the day, the thermals should come out, so maybe we can do some little more extended flights. No thermals today, so after about 15 or 20 minutes of flying, I start coming back towards the airport to land. So today's a big day. Today I'm going for my Checkride. It's the final test to get my glider license. So far I've done like 68 training flights, about 12 solo flights. I've got 18 hours of flight time, 3 hours of solo flight time. I've been studying really hard in the book stuff. I passed my written test with a 97, and I passed the oral yesterday. So I just got to do three flights with the examiner, and then I'm good. It's been a lot of work, way more than I expected. So I just passed my Checkride, and I got my first passenger in the back. Say hi, Zoe. This was my best flight yet. We thermaled to 4,300 feet and flew for an hour. Here's the flight track I made on my phone. Awesome flight with my first passenger.
That's your first time?
Yeah, with a passenger.
Cool.
Yeah. And just putting the glider away now. So for those of you interested in the cost, I spent about $6,500 up into the point where I got my private glider rating, and that could compare to a power rating, which would seem to cost around $12,000 these days. The tow costs were between $50 and $70. Glider rentals were $65 an hour. Instruction $70 an hour. So an alternative would be a club. I was looking into that as well. The rates seem to be much cheaper there, although they seem to have only operate usually a few days a week, and it was a lot harder to get on the schedule compared to the commercial operation at Seminole Glider Port. I was able to just call up pretty much any time, and I could fly 5 to 10 flights a day, and I really wanted to get in my rating in a condensed period, so that seemed to work best for me. I thought the instruction was great, very good instruction. Although I was a little bit frustrated, honestly, about how many flights it took to get to the point where I could solo and then also do my check ride. It took me like 8 days to solo and 50 flights. I think it was 70 flights before I did the check ride. And I mean, coming from a hang gliding, paragliding where you solo the very first day, and then maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen flights, and you get your rating. It seemed quite excessive. I think after 20 flights in the glider, I felt like, obviously I couldn't handle every condition, but like I had enough to, fly the glider alone. And it just seemed to go on and there was just so many patterns. It just took something that was like really fun at the beginning. It became kind of a chore, just kind of doing pattern after pattern. I don't know if it's the same everywhere, just something that was kind of annoyance to me. That really seemed to drive up the cost. By the time I had the rating, I had so many more times the FAA minimums. It seemed a bit ridiculous. On the other hand, it is a private pilot's rating, so you do get a bit more freedom. You have to learn a lot more about the airspaces and regulations and FAA legal nonsense. But in the end, for me, it's definitely worth it. My goal has been to do aerobatic flying along with more high altitude and longer distance cross-country stuff that you just can't do the same way in paragliders and hang gliders. And this is just the first step along the way. Next, I'm heading out to Arizona to do my aerobatic training. And then eventually I'd like to probably buy my own, like an old glider. That I'm looking for something that's probably 2-place, but also aerobatic rated. Let me know if anybody has any leads. I'm not sure if I'm ready to buy one yet, but certainly in the future. And there's definitely gonna be more sailing stuff too. They'll kind of go back and forth, or maybe after I do the rest of the sailing I want to do. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.